Hi, this is Kirk with Bury Your Lawn and Pest. Today we're going to talk about what we can do to help you get rid of ants and what you can do to help our treatment be the most effective as possible.
To help you understand how we can effectively treat for ants, we need to talk a little bit about them. Ants are social insects that live in a nest in a colony. Inside of a colony, there are three basic castes or groups. First, we have the queen. The queen primarily stays inside the nest, and her primary function is to lay eggs and rear young. Next, we have the young, the eggs, the larvae, and the pupas. These are also inside the nest, and they are getting ready to hatch and become adults. Lastly, we have the workers. Now, these are the ones that people most often see in their kitchens or their garages. The workers are out and about looking for food and water, and then they bring it back to the colony to share it with the other workers, the larvae, and the queen.
The next thing that is important to understand is how ants communicate. They emit pheromones from glands in their abdomens in order to communicate things to others. You can think of it like leaving a road sign for others ants to follow, like raid recently sprayed here or good food and water there, etc. Other ants pick up these pheromones with their very sensitive antennae and either avoid an area or keep going depending on what pheromone road sign was left. You can notice from this video that a pheromone trail has been left here, basically following the grout line in the tile.
Let's now use what we've learned about ants against them. Here's what we want to do. We want to use the foraging worker ants to take a bait that we will put down, share it with other workers, who then take it to the queen and to the young and feed it to them, who will then eventually die. This way we can kill the entire colony, especially the ones that are the cause of the problem, the queen and the young, not just the workers. If we were to use just sprays, we certainly could kill a few workers, but other workers would detect it with their antenna and simply avoid those areas and pop up later in another location. Spraying contact sprays also does nothing to kill the queen that's producing the young or the young that's just about ready to hatch. It is a short-term solution, and they will be back. It's just a matter of time until more newly hatched workers are out and about. That is why baiting for ants is the best method. It takes care of the problem, not just the symptoms, once and for all. This is the part that you can help us with. We need you to get an active foraging trail. Here's how you can. Get a piece of tape and fold it over itself. Then place it down in the area that you've seen a lot of ants. You don't have to have tape. A business card or a piece of paper will work also. Just about anything that's flattened to make cleanup easier for later. So anyway, place it down on the surface where you've been seeing some ants, and then get some honey. Ants love honey. I think it's been our most effective attractant that we've found. So get a knife or whatever you need to use and get a couple of drops of honey to place down on the surface, on the floor or whatever surface that you've been dealing with. So just get a little drop or two, like I said, and put it down on the tape or a paper or whatever it is. And then repeat this process in 3 or 4 areas, and then wait. Ants should start lining up for a taste. Here we are in that same spot about 5 minutes later. You can notice that we have a handful of ants that have already lined up to the honey to get a taste. They've already started their pheromone trails, which means that they've alerted the other ants to the presence of the food here, and that's exactly what we want. Here is the same spot about 10 minutes later. Now I'm going to show you where we come in. So we typically ask people to do this sort of thing the night before we come, or you could do it the morning of that we come, so we can get a good solid active trail. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the pheromone trails that we have, this bait that we already have, to our advantage. And what we're going to do is we're just going to get some of that gel bait that we have and place it right on top of the honey that you've just put down. So we just put it right across here. And the great thing is we can use the existing pheromone trails that they had to come get this honey, and we just place it right in here, right on top of the honey. And we'll get some other time shots here over the next 5, 10, even 15 minutes so you can take a look at what happened. Here's the same place about 3 to 4 minutes later. Here is the same place 10 minutes later. You can see there's more ants now at 15 minutes. And here it's quite remarkable at 20 minutes how many ants there are. And that's exactly what we were looking for.
As you can notice, the bait is right out in the middle of everything and it's exposed. We use this method when there's no risk of children or pets getting access to the bait. Let me show you what we can do to make it more secure.
We have bait stations that can be placed that cover the bait, and here is one right here. Inside the station we inject the bait, then place the station in an area that has ants. These can also be secured in place with an adhesive strip for safety concerns. Then the same thing happens. Here's that same bait station at about 5 minutes. Here it is at about 10 minutes. And here it is at about 20 minutes. You can notice that the same thing has happened as did with the one placed on the floor. All of those ants just love this stuff. We ask people to leave the bait as long as you can stand it, or at least until the ants lose interest, but typically no more than 48 hours. When you're done, simply pick it up and throw it away. So let's review. The most effective way to kill a colony is by using the workers against the colony, to get them to take the bait to the queen and to the young. To do that, we need your help. Remember, don't spray anything, like Raid or other repellent sprays. The ants will avoid that area, and we want them to get as much access to the area as possible to get as much of that bait back to the colony as we can. Second, place some honey in 3 or 4 places where you've seen ants on a piece of paper or tape or its equivalent to draw the ants out into an active foraging trail. Do that at least 4 hours before we come. When we come, we will place either directly on top of your honey or in a bait station some gel bait. The worker ants will flock to it, devour it, and share it with the queen and the young, and we will kill the entire colony. Thanks for watching this video on how we can help you take care of ants and what you can do to help us in that process. Remember that if you have any problems with ants, we can help. Give us a call at 208-463-4533. Thanks.